What's up, guys? We are back with another Star Wars Figuarts review. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. I mean, a long while, right? But today we're back with the latest Boba Fett. This guy is the Mandalorian version, so Season 2 Mandalorian Boba Fett. And, you know, it's kind of sacrilegious to many people, but the Figuarts Boba Fett is one of my favorites. So I've been really excited to get a hold of this guy and just to see what he's got going on. Of course, he comes in that same style packaging that we see for the retail releases over there. That means he comes in the big window package, so you've got the Star Wars and Mando logo on the front. You've just got product shot and name running down the spines, and then the back of the box, in typical Figuarts fashion, has a bunch of product shots showcasing how this guy moves and some of the stuff he comes with too, as well as a bit of a cross-sell. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package are SH Figuarts Mandalorian Season 2 Boba Fett. Definitely one that I know a lot of folks have really been looking forward to this. Who doesn't like getting another Boba Fett? And regardless of what you feel about how he appeared in this show or in his own show, Boba Fett always looks cool. And I'm really happy with this particular look. You know, he's a little bit stockier in this particular instance. He's filled out his armor a little bit more. You know, he's got the skirt piece going on down here. There's a lot of little things that make him different from how we last saw him in Return of the Jedi. So there's a lot going on that makes him different. And of course, it's a different figure entirely from the last time we saw Boba in Figuarts. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. He's still very normal. Like, there's not a lot that's truly surprising or different or groundbreaking here. Not in a negative way, just sort of it's still a Star Wars Figuarts kind of way. So he is locked down pretty bad at the head. At least I think he is. I mean, he does have some movement, but it's not the greatest because he's got this collar piece here. So if that wasn't there, you would have a lot of range. He can look down like a decent bit. He's definitely, you know, looking down. But when he looks up, he only goes so far because it all starts to hit itself. You've got some tilt. You've got full rotation, of course. I mean, you could take that out if you wanted. It's a separate piece, and you'll get a lot more range. Arms go out about this far at the shoulders. It's basically perpendicular, but maybe slightly leaning downwards. It's because he's got these shoulder cuff pieces here this time around. You've got a slight butterfly joint here, which works pretty well despite that being in the way, but it does hide the joint really well also. You can, of course, rotate all the way around in there. We do have a bicep swivel up there. You've got your double jointed elbows to give you about that far. And then, of course, you've got ball hinges at the wrist, so all the way around and then up and down in any direction. He does have the little rockets on this side, though, so they do get in the way of this fist. Now, as far as the torso, he's going to go backwards. Honestly, he goes backwards pretty well for being so stocky, and then he goes forwards about this far. Not bad. I mean, I know it could be better, but at the same time, he's a little thick, so you've got a lot of play here despite that. So you can get him side to side and then full rotation, of course, there. You've got your jetpack on the back. I mean, this is an accessory. It's in the box as one, but it's Boba. This is articulated as well, so the thrusters are articulated. They will shimmy at that ball, and then they do swivel in there also. Your legs are going to go out about this far. Not the full splits. Let's move those up. You go out about that far. And they kick forward all the way. They do kick backwards, like way, way far. You've got your thigh cut up here. It's not like full, but so far it's been everything I needed it to be. You've got a knee joint right here, which goes back pretty far. Again, it's one of those instances where the thigh is one big, big piece compared to the rest of the leg. So it's sort of deep cut up at the top to allow for that kind of range. And then you've got what I believe are just ball pegs down at the ankles. So they kick back slightly. They kick forward decently. You've got some rocker action, and then you've got some twist down there, and then you've also got your toe articulation. So, I mean, you know, pretty normal for Figuarts, like nothing too crazy. If I wanted to change anything about him, it's that I wish he had a little bit better range at the head. But overall, I think he moved really, really well. Very easy to pose all around. Now, of course, one of the main reasons why I wanted this particular Boba is because it's this particular Boba. So he is very specific in his design, in his colors, in his overall build, materials used, everything. You know, he's a very different figure from a normal Boba Fett, and I'll do a comparison to some other stuff, you know, Figuarts Fett, Black Series, stuff like that here shortly. We'll do just various kinds, because it's all the same guy, really, right? So it's just a matter of sizing and stuff like that. So he is a little bit stockier than the Figuarts Fett that we've already got, but of course Figuarts scale a little bit smaller. So he is still very much his own thing, but I really like this figure. I, again, really like this look, and this is another instance where Figuarts style lends itself to the design for this particular Boba, because of course he is cleaned up as well as possible in this instance right now. So the figure reflects that. I know that was a big sticking point for a lot of people with the previous Figuarts Fett, because he's very clean for that version of Boba, when realistically he shouldn't have been. I still enjoyed it because I like that aesthetic, but this works really well. He still does have, you know, some wear and tear. There's, you know, this silver kind of dry brushing on the jetpack, and you've got it a little bit here and there on the armor, but he's still very clean overall, and I do like that, and it very much works here. Colors are bright and saturated and vibrant, and they pop. I mean, these shoulder pads definitely pop. You've got you know, the Death's Head, Mandalorian Death's Head over here on the side, which looks really nice, tampoed in. Lots of tiny little details, little greebling details, because of course it's Star Wars. You've got the new belt piece over here, which is nicely done. It's got different texture and different feel and just different finishes on it. You've got the Jaster's Friel emblem up there on, is that what they call it still? I don't even know. Emblem on his chest looks really nicely done, and all around, the little bits of paint here and there I think do look really nice. I'm overall very happy with them. Beyond that, he of course does have one big thing, and that is of course the fact that, well, we have a skirt piece. We've got fabric down here, and this works pretty well. I'm okay with the way this feels. It's not super plush by any means, but I think it's all right, and it does sit on him really well. It does kind of flow as well. It's not wired, but you can kind of get it up out of its own way because of how it's connected and how it's kind of cinched into the figure. So you can kind of have it flowing backwards a little bit if you wanted to. You've got your knee rockets down here at his knees, of course. Well, that makes perfect sense. And then you've got the boots down there, which is all really nicely done. He's very clean, but again, that works really nicely for this particular version of Boba. And I think they did a pretty solid job on this guy, especially because, you know, again, he is still very much his own thing, but he's going to flow nicely from that previous one that we got into this modern new take on Boba Fett, and it all comes together really nicely with the Figuarts aesthetic, because everything in this line is, generally speaking, very clean. And then, of course, we've got this helmet sculpt up here, which I do think is pretty nice. I know some folks have not been all that excited about it because the shape in some ways does seem to be a little off here and there, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. I like the movable rangefinder that he's got. I mean, that's pretty standard stuff. But overall, the colors look good. The overall design, all of the paintwork on there, the little dent that we've got with a little touch of silver in there does look really nice. And there's just enough wear on that visor area to make it look like it's not brand new. But I am really happy with the way this turned out. I think it looks good, and it very much fits and is in line with this particular version of Boba. Of course, this one does come with an unhelmeted head sculpt. I don't think you're going to use that one, but if you do, you've got the option. Otherwise, I think we've got a pretty solid helmet sculpt up here, which definitely rounds out the figure quite nicely, if you ask me. And then here's some Boba comparisons, because why not? So our new one is in the middle. We've got our original Black Series Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett here on the left, and then we've got our Figuarts Return of the Jedi on the right. So you get a good cross-section of different eras. You can see there's some clear differences across the board, but the big thing I want to point out is just how different these two are in terms of size. Like, they're very much the same height. You know, that's not really changed, but this new one fills out the suit a little more. He is very much his own thing. He's not just reuse in any capacity, really, but it's a very different look and feel for Boba while still being very much a familiar thing. And then, of course, we've got our original Black Series here, just for comparison. I don't have the Mafex, any of them, so I can't compare those. But the Black Series will be a good stand-in for the Empire version, and you can of course see the scaling is a little bit different. These two, I will point out, do have custom soft goods wired capes, so of course that is a little bit different, but it doesn't really add too much to these that take away from how different this guy looks. And then let's pull this one aside, and we'll put this one in just because, to give you an idea of what he looks like next to an unarmored Boba Fett. So this, of course, is our Black Series. Unarmored new Boba Fett. He does come with soft goods, but I kept him off just to more easily show what the body looks like. You can get an idea of what he looks like next to himself without his armor on in a different line. And then let's do a couple non-Star Wars things just for sizing comparison. So let's take Boba away, and we'll put a Super 7 turtle in there. And then let's take Boba away again, and we'll put a Marvel Legends Wolverine in there, which I think adequately shows the scaling here, because he is, of course, a smaller than average Marvel Legends figure, and they're not too far apart when it comes to overall sizing. And then we will do one more because why not? But we'll take Wolverine aside, and we'll put a quote-unquote normal Legends in when it comes to that. So here is a very Bucky Cap style figure with the Marvel Legends Nova. So you can see he's a good bit taller overall, but there's still a lot of size on this guy, especially compared to his older Figuarts counterpart. Now, as far as accessories goes, Boba has a pretty solid spread. There's a lot of stuff here that we've never gotten before. There's also a big focus on swapping out things. So bits and bobs you can take off and put other versions of them on. Big thing here is the unhelmeted head sculpt, of course, and I got this guy a few days after a lot of folks seem to have gotten him, so I've been seeing posts and pictures of this head sculpt, and I had kind of formed an opinion of it before getting mine. I thought it looked pretty awful at first glance. I don't really think it is all that bad, though, when you get it in hand. Like, in the right lighting, this looks really solid. The sculpt is definitely there. The likeness is definitely there for Temuera Morrison. I like this more than the Black Series sculpt. I like the color on the Black Series head a lot better. And then, of course, they both have a very stoic-y kind of expression. This one looks a little bit more agitated than the Black Series one. But I think this is a pretty solid interpretation of Boba Fett. Maybe the coloring could use a little bit of a darkening to it, but the scarring looks nice, and the kind of like distressed look on his face I think comes through really well. He also gets greater range without the helmet on, so his head, he looks all the way up, and he'll look really far down. That's just what happens when you have less plastic in play. But I think this looks pretty good. It's not perfect, it definitely has its issues, but I don't think it looks bad. And that said, I'm probably not going to use it. I mean, it's Boba Fett, so, helmet. But it does look pretty good if you wanted to go this route. I think it looks all right. We've got some hands, of course, as well. So you get 6 extra hands, so 4 total sets, 3 extra sets in the box. We've got trigger finger hands. We've got wide gripping hands for the barrel of the gun. And then you've got splayed finger style posy kind of hands. We've got the chain code sort of hologram thing here that pops into his gauntlet, which I think is pretty cool. It's a very specific thing from the Mandalorian. This, of course, is in like a translucent and orange tinted plastic with some like sort of fakey Arabesh on there tampoed on it. So this is pretty cool. I mean, it definitely sets a specific scene, and it just pops into the little port here on the end of his gauntlet, and you've got your chain code for that particular scene. We've got something that's very Figuartsy when it comes to sidearms. So you've got, and I didn't talk about this because I wanted to talk about it now, we've got the fully sculpted and, holstered gun. This is all one piece. It doesn't come apart. It comes off, but it's not supposed to be used. So it's not that kind of a sidearm. So you get the extra stuff. We got an empty one here. I mean, it's not actually empty because it's not hollow, but it doesn't have a gun in it. So you can pop that one off and put this one on, and then you've got his actual sidearm. So it's just kind of gray with a little bit of brown. Again, something that I'll probably never use because Boba has a very signature gun. So we've got that here. There's not a lot of paint on this either. Where it does have paint is pretty cleanly applied. No real issues to speak of, but the sculpt is nice. He holds it really, really well. It's not too tight in those hands, but it's not loose at all either. And I do like this. It's Boba's gun. It's pretty iconic, so I'm happy that he has this. How could he not include it though, right? And then we've got some stuff for the jetpack. So, you know, didn't really talk too much about the jetpack because it is sort of an accessory for this guy also when it comes to how he's, you know, packed out and loaded here. So you've got a nice big green jetpack. You do have a little bit of wear and tear on it, little, you know, sort of greebling detail. And like I mentioned, the thrusters do move. And of course they come out because I've got it out here. So you've got ones that have thrust effects. And these also move, so they bobble in and out, and then they, of course, rotate up and down, so you can make him appear to be in motion if you want, or just have him sort of hover up off the ground if you want to do something like that. So you've got options when it comes to the jetpack itself. And then you've got rocket options as well. So you've got the standard rocket here, sort of in the jetpack to begin with. You can pop this out, and you can replace it with this one if you want. You can replace it with that. Or you take that out and you replace it with this, which of course is an effect. And then you can pop your rocket tips into this. Well, you can do it like this. Plug it in there first because it's actually kind of tight. It's pretty snug. And then pop it into his jetpack. And then you can have him sort of, you know, doing something like this. He doesn't, you know, like I've already shown, he doesn't lean over like super far forward. But he leans over far enough, and of course, you know, the rangefinder is what actually targets the enemies. So I do like that. You know, this thing is done up with some nice sort of yellowy translucent plastic with some white paint. Or it's kind of cleary with a little bit of white on there just to make it look like a smoke plume coming off the end. So I think that's cool. And again, you know, you can use that effect with both tips. So pop this one out. And then you can put this one in also if you want to switch it up. So you do have options. Like I said, there's a lot of interchangeable parts on this guy. So again, a lot of good options if you want to have him helmeted, unhelmeted. You want to have him with 2 different guns, various rockets, and a bunch of different hands. He comes with a lot of solid display potential here. And then, of course, you know, you get some scene-specific things when it comes to, you know, more unique little effect part kind of accessories like the chain code. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with this guy. He ended up being basically what I wanted him to be. And at this point, you know, it's Boba Fett. I'm always going to grab one. But I'm happy with this figure. I'm really happy with the way he moves. He's not perfect, but I'm happy with the way he moves. I'm really happy with the way he looks. Again, I really liked that first Figuarts Fett. But this one plays into that aesthetic a lot more because he's super clean right now. And of course, you know, the armor does get super clean. So it works okay in that regard because Figuart stuff is really factory fresh in many ways. But I think he looks pretty fantastic. That extra head sculpt, I think, looks a lot better in person than I expected it to. He comes with a really solid array of accessories. And he's just sort of like a beefier, bulkier Boba Fett who looks like he's about to throw down. And, you know, who doesn't like that? So this is definitely going to be a fun one. And I'm pretty happy to add this guy to the shelf after it's been far too long without some Figuarts Star Wars. So that's going to do it for this look at the SH Figuarts Boba Fett from The Mandalorian. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.